Dramatic developments today in the Trump campaign saga that began back on March 8th. Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski was walking the candidate through a crowd following an event in Florida when a reporter for a pro-Trump website, Michelle Fields, asked Trump a question. According to a tweet that night from Fields' boyfriend, Jamie Weinstein of the Daily Caller, Lewandowski tried to pull Fields to the ground when she asked a tough question. Fields herself did not weigh in until 2 days later, when her first-hand account of what happened was published online. Fields claimed she was, quote, jolted backwards. Someone had grabbed me tightly by the arm and yanked me down. I almost fell to the ground, but was able to maintain my balance. Nonetheless, I was shaken. Trump's spokesperson, Hope Hicks, released a statement that afternoon denying the incident ever occurred and suggesting, quote, not a single camera or reporter of more than 100 in attendance captured the alleged incident. As it turns out, neither of those assertions is true. First, Washington Post reporter Ben Terrace says he did witness the incident and released a report that same day confirming Michelle Fields' story, recounting that he, quote, watched as a man with short-cropped hair and a suit grabbed Michelle's arm and yanked her out of the way. He was Corey Lewandowski, Trump's 41-year-old campaign manager. Moreover, videotape did capture the incident, as did audio tape that was released the very same day the Trump camp denied the story. Listen.
It's like
I can't believe he just did that. That was so hard. Oh my, was that Corey?
Yeah, like what threat were you?
That was insane.
Yeah.
You should have felt how hard he grabbed me. That's insane. Oh my gosh. I've never had anyone do that with a campaign.
Can I put it in my story?
Yeah, go for it.
Fields provided evidence of injuries she said were caused by Lewandowski, posting this picture on Twitter of the bruises she says she sustained during the altercation. For his part, Lewandowski intensified his attacks on Fields, calling her a, quote, attention seeker and calling into question her past reporting. Later that night, Donald Trump himself weighed in.
Well, I heard that nothing happened. You know, we're surrounded by Secret Service. And when they left, we're surrounded by Secret Service. There's many Secret Service. You see some of them here. When we left, I spoke to them. Nothing happened. This was, in my opinion, he didn't hear about it until like the next day. So I wasn't involved in it, but the Secret Service was surrounding everybody. They said nothing happened. Everybody said nothing happened. Perhaps he made the story up. I think that's what happened.
The Trump camp's attacks on Fields continued the next day, as Lewandowski tweeted that Fields was, quote, totally delusional, and that he said he never touched her. Fields filed a criminal complaint with authorities in Florida that afternoon, and we saw the release of several videos showing the incident. The videos showed that Trump was, in fact, just inches from Ms. Fields that day, and that Lewandowski, who you see underneath the red arrow here, was close enough to have touched Fields, who you see with the red arrow on the left side of your screen. Later that night, Fields came on the Kelly file, making clear all she really wanted initially was an apology.
I didn't want to make a big deal out of it because, you know, I didn't want to be all over the press, and I certainly was worried about my job. Hope Hicks, who is Donald Trump's spokeswoman, asked for my cell phone number, and I was told that I was going to get an apology. So I waited on that. I didn't want to make a big deal. This wasn't going to be a big deal. They were going to apologize. We would move on. But I never got that apology. Instead, yesterday, they released a statement calling me a liar. They have basically done a character assassination on me. If you were to ask me in private a week ago, who do you support? I would say that Donald Trump was my second choice for president. And you know, Donald Trump always talks about my people, that he loves his people. His people love him. Well, wouldn't I be considered his people? This has to be, aside from my father's death, the worst experience I've gone through.
This morning, police in Florida announced charges would be brought. Lewandowski turned himself in and was charged with simple battery, a misdemeanor. That requires proof that the defendant, quote, actually and intentionally touches another person against the will of the other. Contrary to claims you may have heard in the last hour, no malice must be proven in order to secure a conviction. As police announced the charges, they also released another video, along with a sworn police report by Criminal Investigations Detective Mark Bujnowski of the Jupiter Police Department, concluding that Lewandowski, quote, grabbed Fields' left arm intentionally and against her will. Although the Trump camp, again, has denied that this incident was captured by any cameras. That was their initial statement. This tape here was obtained by police from the Trump property on which the altercation took place. After initially insisting that this incident never happened and accusing Fields of, quote, making it up, Mr. Trump himself was out today suggesting that Fields' bruises are possibly fake or caused by someone other than Lewandowski. He said his campaign manager, who was on record as saying he, quote, never touched Fields, was being maligned, and that Fields was the real aggressor that day.
Those tapes, to me, are very conclusive. A lot of people are looking and saying, how can anybody be charged? She was actually, if you look at her, my book, and according to a lot of people, she's grabbing at me. And he's acting as an intermediary and trying to block her from doing that. I think they've really hurt a very good person. And I know it'd be very easy for me to discard people. I don't discard people. I stay with people. If you look at that tape, he was very, very seriously maligned. She was grabbing me. Does that mean that I'm supposed to file charges against her? She was grabbing me. How do you know those bruises weren't there before?
That's what the police...
I don't know what the police said. How do you know those bruises weren't there before? I'm not a lawyer, but she said she had a bruise on her arm. I mean, to me, if you're going to get squeezed, wouldn't you think that she would have yelled out a scream or something if she has bruises on her arm?
Joining me tonight, Florida attorney and Trump supporter David Wohl, along with Ben Shapiro, the editor-in-chief of DailyWire.com. Ben was also the news editor at large at Breitbart.com, the website for which Michelle Fields worked when this happened. He resigned along with Michelle Fields because of how the website handled Michelle's case, refusing to stand by her. Thank you both for being here. Ben, your reaction today to now charges being filed against Mr. Lewandowski?
I mean, look, lying liars lie, and this is the Trump campaign, where lies are told, and then lies are told to cover up the lies, and then finally new lies are told in order to cover up the lies that were told about the lies. Corey Lewandowski grabbed Michelle, he yanked Michelle, he bruised Michelle. That was obvious from the tape. Michelle told that story, Ben Terrace told that story, Corey Lewandowski lied about that story, Trump lied about that story, and now they're telling a whole new set of lies. Their story has evolved from Corey Lewandowski never touched Michelle Fields to, well, she sort of had it coming. That's the new take. She sort of had it coming because she clearly was in a position to hurt Donald Trump. So Corey Lewandowski ought to have a Medal of Honor for jumping in and defending his boss, by the way, who is surrounded there by Secret Service, who do nothing because Michelle Fields is obviously no threat to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a smoking garbage heap of human debris, and so is Corey Lewandowski, in my opinion.
David, so Ben is not a Trump fan.
No,
but let's just start with but on the legal evidence. You're a lawyer, as am I.
Yeah.
What happened to the incident never happened. It never happened.
Well, Megan,
and Lewandowski's claims that he never touched her.
Yeah, because it didn't happen, Megan. What she describes happening never happened.
David.
I mean, I have the affidavit of arrest right here, Megan.
Did Lewandowski touch her, or didn't
very
he?
Clear. What it says, what she told officers, and this is the important part. She said after she asked Mr. Trump a question, she felt someone yank her arm.
That's
she
what Ben
added that
Terrace
she
said as
fell
well.
back. She fell back, but caught herself from falling. You could see very clearly in the surveillance video that never happened. What happened was she snuck past Secret Service, and there's apparently a Secret Service agent who told the Daily Mail that he told her to stop twice, and she went past him anyway. She snuck past. She then grabbed Mr. Trump on the arm, asked him a question. Corey saw that, and coming to the defense of his boss, went up to her, grabbed her arm,
so let's say that
moved her aside so they could exit the
There's
venue.
A lot to unpack
That's
in
all
there.
that happened.
There's a lot to unpack in there. First of all, let's just start with the notion that Secret Service somehow perceived Ms. Fields as a threat, or told her twice not to. What happened to Mr. Trump's assertions repeatedly that the Secret Service said nothing happened, that he talked to the Secret Service, you heard him on camera, they said nothing happened, nothing happened, the Secret Service told him. So if something happened, how did it get changed? And how did the initial statement by Corey Lewandowski that I never touched her transform into your defense, which is I saw her, and in defense of Mr. Trump, I touched her?
Yeah. Well, because that's what Corey did. The Secret Service agent, I'm sure, said nothing happened because what he witnessed was Corey going up to Michelle, grabbing her in the arm, moving her to the side so they could exit the venue.
That isn't anything, Megan. Didn't happen. Let me finish. Let me finish. Mr. Trump said Secret Service said nothing happened, and then Mr. Trump said right after, I think she made it up.
I think she obviously made up what she said, Megan, because she wasn't jolted aside. She wasn't almost knocked to her butt. She didn't have to stop herself from falling. That never happened. It was a total embellishment of the facts. And if a jury sees this, Megan, what she reported versus the surveillance video of what actually happened, This case
All right.
is going
Just to clear up the
nowhere.
record, Ben, I want to give you the floor, but this is what because Mr. Trump today repeatedly said, go back and listen to what she said when it actually happened, which we played for the audience right there, where she said, I almost fell, but I maintained my balance. But this is, let's go back to the contemporaneous audio tape that caught the altercation. Listen.
You should have felt how hard he grabbed me. That was really awful. That's so unprofessional.
What threat were you?
So in the moment, Ben, she wasn't. Donald Trump says now, once she learned how rich I was, she changed her story. That was what she said in the moment. That's the incident being caught on tape. That's seconds after.
Yeah, I'm sure that Michelle Fields was deeply unaware of how rich Trump is, because clearly Trump is the most humble of men and has never mentioned his wealth at any point in his long and illustrious career of bloviating about his inflated sense of wealth. It's just, the whole thing is ridiculous. How many times do you have to change your story before you just come out and apologize for your campaign manager bruising a woman and then lying about it repeatedly? And now apparently Trump's at a rally right now where he's imitating Michelle Fields and reading her affidavit in dramatic voice, because this is what Trump does. Again, Trump has no capacity to do two things that are actually required of any decent human being.
You know what, Megan?
Apologize when you're wrong and de-escalate when you're wrong.
When it comes to the bruising, she tweeted the bruising out, a photo of her alleged bruises caused by Corey 18 hours after the incident. When she tried to prosecute Corey in the court of social media and failed, that's when she made a police report and lied about what happened, because the video surveillance shows what happened, and it was nothing even resembling what she said.
So she lied to the police. So she's obstructing justice now is what you're accusing Michelle Fields of.
No, that might be filing a false police report. I mean, that might be the crime that was committed.
The police are the ones who released that videotape, David. The police are the ones who released the videotape.
Right.
We can see him touch her on the tape, David. We can
right,
see.
we can
Are you
see
now
that,
telling
Megan.
us not to believe our own lying eyes?
No. What I'm saying is, I'm telling you not to believe her embellishment. What you see is her moving. Megan, that happens probably dozens of times.
Said it didn't
dozens
happen.
of times.
He didn't touch her, David, if he didn't touch her,
I'll agree with you. He touched her.
Then why did he say he didn't? Why did he say he didn't?
What he said was what he was reacting to Michelle Fields' account of what happened, and he said he didn't do that, which was true.
Didn't. That's not true, David.
That's not what he said.
David, that's not true. I just showed the tweet to millions of people. What Corey Lewandowski said was, I never touched you. In fact, I've never even met you.
Because based on what Michelle Fields described, I'm sure he thought, wait a second, that never happened. Who is this person saying that I grabbed her and almost threw her to the ground? He probably didn't link it to this incident.
Okay.
But
Let
Megan,
me ask
obviously.
you a question, Ben. Let me ask you, because what happens when the presidential candidate himself weighs in is there's a lot of backlash. And, you know, we've talked a lot during the Obama administration about how he should be very careful about weighing in on cases like Trayvon Martin and Ferguson, because they hold a lot of power when they have those big microphones. And there can be significant backlash against the target. Michelle Fields is 28 years old. She's now unemployed, or she no longer has employment with Breitbart, at least. And I don't know that she's got somebody protecting her, as Mr. Trump comments forcefully about her. You know her. What's she going through tonight?
I think Michelle's having a tough time. I was texting with her just before this, and I've been encouraging Michelle to come on TV and tell her part of the story, since she's obviously being lied about by Mr. Trump and presumably by the rest of the Trump campaign all day today. One of the reasons she didn't want to do this, as she's expressed to me repeatedly today, is, again, as she's been saying consistently for 3 weeks, she didn't want to be the center of this story in the first place. All she wanted was an apology. She's sick of being labeled an attention seeker by people like David just because she told the truth about Corey Lewandowski grabbing her and then Corey Lewandowski
First of all,
lied.
I haven't said that, Ben. That's a lie right there. I haven't said that. What I've said is that she clearly lied to the police about what happened. We see the video. We see her account.
The campaign manager did.
They're totally inconsistent. Totally.
All right, guys.
Totally inconsistent? Totally inconsistent, really. So let me ask you this.
Was it, what she told cops and what happened?
I gotta go. Don't talk over each other, because that's annoying.
Unbelievable.
But Ben, I'll give you a quick chance to respond. Go ahead.
All I can say is that essentially the Trump campaign is saying we can tell you any lie that you want to hear so long as you believe us rather than tape. We'll provide tape, we'll provide audio, we'll provide contemporaneous witness account. None of it matters because Donald Trump says something, and what the great Donald says must go.
Thank you both for being here.
Thank you, Megan.